I want to read you something. So this is from Wikipedia. Quote: Gabbar Singh is a fictional character and the antagonist of the 1975 Bollywood film Sholay. Played by Amjad Khan, he is depicted in Sholay as a dacoit with an evil laugh who leads a group in looting and plundering the villages in the region of Ramgarh. He has a sadistic personality and insists on killing whenever required to continue his status and to take revenge on his enemies. Close quote. What similarities do you think you have with Mr. Gabbar Singh?
Nothing. So it was a happy accident actually. So how I landed up on this handle, basically it was not a well thought through thing. So I'll give you the story. Back in 2010, when Twitter was relatively new, and Twitter had people of journalists and head of states were there. It used to be a very serious platform. And what I did was basically that I used to have a blog as well that time, which was a kind of a funny humor blog. And so during those times, Twitter came up with this concept of following people, right? I mean, you on Facebook you used to be friends, or on Orkut used to be fans of people, but you never followed people as such. So there was this silly joke in the premise of the joke was basically that some dakus are following Basanti. So I made a Basanti account on Twitter and made 10, 12 dakus follow her. And the silly joke was that, okay, let's see, the Twitter is a new thing where Basanti is being followed by these 12 decades. And while I was making that, I also made a handle called Gabbar Singh, just to complete the story. And whole idea was to take screenshots and maybe put on my blog and delete those accounts, right? So I did the same. I took screenshots and everything, and I was when I came to delete the tweets, basically, I deleted everything else. Just the Gabbar Singh account had 20 retweets that time on that tweet which I did, and inflation adjusted, that would be 1,000 retweets now. So, so I was like, this is working out maybe. So what I did was I didn't delete that account, and I kept on tweeting in the similar vein as Gabbar Singh, as if Gabbar is on Twitter. He's talking about the 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 current world and stuff, being modern and everything, and that parody was working for a while. And just 2 days later, one of my flatmates came and told me, dude, you should follow this guy called Gabbar Singh on Twitter. And that was the time when I said, okay, this seems it's working. And that is the day then I never stopped. And that blog also never published, by the way. So I
I'm
kept on.
curious about. I'm curious about. So when you tweet, right? How like is it is it a character that you're trying to? How much of it is your own opinion, or in the sense that, or are you looking at it through the lens of this character that you have kind of developed over the years?
See, most of it is mine, of course. I mean, see, the initial being in the vein of the character, it stopped in the first year itself, right? And I realized that there's not enough material basically to continue with that charade, right? And it has to be me if I have to continue with this. All the parody accounts have died down. I mean, and they have died down because there is lack of material, right? I mean, even the god that account that was there on Twitter, that also has come down. So what I thought was I'll just tweet from my own. I mean, it's a moniker, it's a pseudonym that I have, and I'll tweet like myself. And since then, I've been doing that itself. I mean, of course, what Twitter does is basically, or having a pseudonym does is basically, even if you are a introvert in real life, you can be that a boisterous person online. So that is the only difference, I would say. That I'm more frank there. In real life, I might not voice those opinions about someone, but online, I can do that, right? Yeah.
Could you explain what is a pseudonym?
Pseudonymous.
Pseudonym?
Basically, you have a pseudonym. You, let's say Gabbar. Some of them have Flash, Spider Man, Batman, or anything that there's an online identity you have, and that's the thing about internet, right? It allows you to have multiple personalities or multiple. That's where a name your parents gave you and the name you gave yourself. That is a pseudonym basically, and usually on on internet
Sorry.
people try to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, but on your account, I think, but it does say, I think on your bio, I think you have written your Abhishek, right? I mean,
No, no,
so
no, not
you
Abhishek.
have not, is it?
What I've done is I have mentioned the companies I run, the handles of them, and I've also written parody. So it's a derived kind of a need to know basis anonymity. It's not like anonymous. If you want to know about me, you can easily Google and figure out. Yeah. So I'm no longer anonymous as such. Yeah.
You mentioned like being pseudonymous. One aspect is the introvert aspect where you are like people are able to say things that their own personality may not
Yeah,
probably let them or be willing to do it.
yeah.
Is there any other aspects to it besides this newfound courage or
Hmm, hmm.
being able to express yourself differently? Are there other aspects to being pseudonymous which either work in the favor or against it?
Yeah, it does. See, what also happens is that's a difference between a LinkedIn and a Twitter. What will happen is that now that fine, I've grown in my career and everything, but imagine 10 years of, I mean, ago, basically, when I was a engineer, maybe, right? If suppose I had an opinion about something, and I might be judged basis my designation, right? I might my opinions, the weighted average, as you say, the coefficient of weight that you add to my opinion would be basis my designation, how old I am, where do I work, and so on Twitter, when you have a pseudonyms, all that is stripped away. It's just the opinion, just the words that you're saying that matters. So that in that context, it would work really well. When I used to talk
I'm
to
so sorry.
Singh, yeah.
I'm so sorry, but if I flip that, there's also a chance that because you do not have a name, you may not be taken seriously, right? I mean, there's a flip.
Yes,
Would you
yes.
say is that fair?
No, so yeah, prima facie, when the first time you talk to someone and they don't have a name or something like that, right? You might not trust the person, but then when the opinion and the what the words you're saying make sense, right? I suppose I'm let's say there's a debate going on, and I take part in the debate. Maybe have a lengthy kind of an opinion I gave there, and it made sense to someone. Then you're like, okay, this guy has a pseudonym and he's making sense, and he has a kind of a funny pseudonym. It's a Gabbar Singh. It was used to be a villain, and he's on Twitter talking in English. So there is this mismatch that is there. There's that irony that is there, and that creates a lot of humor as well. So people say that okay, this is a Gabbar Singh villain, and now he's talking in English, and he's having an opinion about world affairs. So how is that possible? This seems a funny guy, and that's when people tend to, and once you grow in stature, I mean, more and more people follow you, and of course the currency is the followership, of course. So when they see that okay, 1 lakh people or 2 lakh people are following this person, or a million people are following this person, they suddenly ascribe a lot of value to it. They said okay, let's follow this guy. This guy might have something interesting to say.
1 million is 10 lakh, no?
Yeah.
Okay. Um, how do you think Twitter has changed? Like, I mean, in 20, like, I'm surprised you were using it in 2010 because
Hmm.
like I don't know, I started using it 2020. So I'm like really worrying, like I'm just really curious, like the platform must have been so young, no? Like I
Hmm.
mean,
True.
I don't,
Yeah.
today
So
itself I think it has about so I'm so sorry, but today itself I think it has about 300 million, 350 million
330 million.
global users. So at that point in time I don't even know.
Very
So
less,
yeah.
very less. Yeah. So as I told earlier as well, see the thing is initially it was just the early adopters of technology were there on the platform. It was a new thing, 140 characters, and you could only tweet out like nibbles of information and opinions. So it was interesting then, and a lot of journalists, a lot of foreign tech people were there initially, and that's when mass adoption came. I mean, there was never a mass adoption as such. I mean, still Twitter is a niche platform, right? I mean, not everyone will be on Twitter. But what happened is that the people who mattered, right? I mean, people, let's say, a prime minister, or a president, or a celebrity, or someone who is a CXO in some company, will be more or less you will find them on Twitter. So that's where the value of the platform is, even though the numbers are less, but it has people who usually matter.
Don't you like? I find that really weird though, in the sense that like I would expect that the quote unquote important people or politicians or whatever, they would they would transmit their messages in a platform where there are most number of users. Like I would assume that Manmohan Singh would be giving his status updates and on
Hmm.
Facebook
Hmm.
rather than on Twitter. But it's somehow it's just happened that Twitter seems to be the place where everybody wants to update.
Yeah.
And this is again, it gets really weird. It gets weirder when even after that, it's not able to mass adopt, right? You would
Exactly.
assume that people thinking that everyone is giving updates there, so let me also join, but nobody's like, not nobody's joining, but very few people are joining.
No, actually, the thing is, it's a high effort medium. It's not a low effort medium in the sense. Watching a video takes a very less cognitive load than actually reading a tweet and making sense of it, right? So, I mean, videos you can just scroll and just see ha ha hoo hoo. It's humor, a lot of fun, and Twitter you actually have to like read the tweets and stuff and reply, and there's a lot of high effort stuff that is there. So automatically the masses won't like that. They want, like, they have 5 minutes of time, free time. They want to enjoy that time. They want to like make that stress free. So they'll go to Instagram reels and just swipe five reels basically, right? And on Twitter, and to the first question, why people are here despite the numbers being less, and it beats the whole thing that when there is less people, why are leaders here to talk to people? So the whole idea is that the important people are here because other important people are here. It's clearly a network effect basically. It's nothing like of that these guys want to reach out to. So they also know that a lot of mouthpieces are here and a lot of press people, journalists are here. So if suppose someone tweets out something, for that to be covered by a lot of journalists and to be broadcasted into a mass media is far higher. Imagine, let's say, someone has to make a statement. Someone is resigning from as a prime minister or resigning as a chief minister. He'll put that on Twitter first. What happens is all of these journalists basically pick that up immediately and transmit it on their respective newspapers or channels. So that's what I've seen basically. It's you're right. It's actually quite fascinating that how come with such low user base, all the mass popular leaders are flocking to it and using it as their primary medium of communication. And it's just basically it's a B2B thing. You are a business, you want to reach out to other businesses. That's why you're there. Yeah.
How are you finding Elon's Twitter?
Elon's Twitter, frankly, there is, in terms of tech, there hasn't been much difference as such. I mean, as a user, end user, basically, if I see a previous Twitter in the past was as glitch free as it is today, though they have fired like 75% of engineers, and but Elon is shipping out features very fast than what the earlier guys did. There were a lot of bloatware earlier. Now get to see a lot of new features coming in. If there is a request that is being made, it is quickly implemented. They implemented edit tweets. They implemented blue ticks verification. They're selling badges and stuff. So all that has happened very fast actually, and which is good. I mean, a platform needs to evolve pretty fast because if you're not a government organization, right? I mean, it's not you're building some kind of metro or a bridge. It's tech. You can just roll out fast, and that's what has changed basically. Yeah,
I feel like Twitter is one, but I feel most of the platforms seem to be moving video first, and even Twitter. I feel like Elon's been hinting at
yeah,
with the tweets that he's been making that he expects. I mean, he's first of all he's encouraging a lot of people to even upload long form videos on Twitter, but
mhm,
also he seems to be very focused on getting the short form right as well because I think that's going to drive user engagement.
yeah,
It seems like this video that TikTok seems to have popularized
yeah.
is definitely here to stay, and I think definitely here to dominate. Is that fair?
Absolutely. See, Elon has got status. Why did he buy Twitter? Basically, $44 billion, massively overpriced, a kind of a product, and he bought that just because of status. It's a public square, as he says, right, of opinions, and he bought that. Now that has to, I mean, recover the cost as well, and he is realizing it that brands don't care about head of states and stuff. Brands care about people, the actual number of people you can reach with your message. So and that's not been there historically on Twitter, and that's where the advertising revenues are less, and that's why Elon is trying to sell blue ticks so that he can recuperate some money from the users itself, not advertising revenue, or I mean making it from other businesses basically. So video seems to be something which of course drives up time spent on the app, and he is also realizing that video is what is driving Instagram and TikTok and others, and that's where they're making a lot of money. Why should he basically lose out on that? So yeah, I mean, of course, he has hired a CEO now who is a pure play ad revenue seller basically. I mean, and his focus is pretty much to make money on this. Yeah.
But I think the irony in this is, I think there is no there's not a lot of money in short form video. No, at least that's what I've that's my understanding.
Not short form video actually. I think it would be advertising ad revenues. How does he sell? What kind of inventories does he sell? So a quick thing would be like, if you can tell people that okay, Twitter is a place where I can target CEOs and CXOs for you, right? Suppose there's a B2B SaaS platform and they want to sell some services which are basically a high ticket value. Twitter can say, okay, I have these many CXOs on my platform. I'll find them out for you and maybe target them to them, but I'll charge you a higher CPM, right? And that's where I think it can make money. So I guess they're trying to figure out various ways to make money to recuperate that. Now that it's a private company, they're trying to figure out that whatever can work and get some money out of this. Yeah.
Any final thoughts on Twitter? I want to move on to.
Yeah, yeah. Twitter, see, I think Twitter isn't very. It has been a time sink for me. It has been a place where I built Twitter as a horizontal as such. When I say horizontal, what I've realized is that Twitter is a place where a lot of good people are there. How can I derive value out of my network? Either I can get them as a client or investor or both. So that's where I built two businesses. Twitter being the horizontal, and the network I am leveraging on. Twitter is, of course, is a itself. I have monetized Twitter. As an influencer, as they say, doing stuff. But that is a very minor part, and that's a very I would say, if you have a social network, if you have good amount of following, that would be the worst way to make money. That's the, because you're selling out yourself. To the brands out there. You're the but the best way to do that would be to make institutions, make businesses out of it, right? You have some skill. That's why you've built a following. Now, why not use that skill to basically create businesses out of it? So that's where.
I'm just sorry, but just to push back, I mean, but I don't think everyone will have that skill set. No, I think some people are like one example I can think of is like comedians, right? Look, in the sense that I think there will be a lot of comedians who might be funny and who might be able to make videos of themselves being funny, but you ask them to manage, I don't know, forget a business, but even like a small 2 hour shift of something, I would assume that most of them would fail.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know. I think there's a
Oh,
skill issue
no,
as well.
you're right. So of course it takes people. If you have that, see, ऐसा नहीं है कि I've been a born entrepreneur or something. I was a service person. I was working till 2019. I had never thought ever that I'll create something out of Twitter. I thought, okay, whatever small money I'm getting out of being an influencer, that is enough. That is good enough. I have my full time job anyway. So I've done my. I was like a traditional good student, I would say. Engineering, then MBA, and then working in a good company, MNC, chances of going abroad and all that. So all of that was there. So when I ventured out, I realized that there is so much more value to be gotten through this. So once we talk next, I'll tell you that how Twitter actually helped me basically setting up two businesses.